Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Daydream Nation, and look who I've got back to the channel, Joe B. How's it going, mate?
It's going well, and it's an honor to be on your show. Great interview with Sherry Curry. I mean, you
Oh,
just keep
thank you.
on taking it to another level. So, rock
Oh,
Daydream Nation, people.
today we are going to revisit Ozzy Osbourne's final album, and this is Patient No. So this came out 2022, 2023. At the time, I was very favorable to the album, and when I did a review on this channel, I said that the album had a sense of being a final chapter, because a lot of the album was talking about death, the end of the road. It sort of ended up that way, Joe. So
Yeah,
I thought it'd be a good opportunity to revisit the album, go through the tracks, look at the whole mindset of this project, because sonically it's quite different to a lot of the earlier Ozzy albums, and we can talk about that. And
right.
also how it fits in with the final chapter with Ozzy's career in life. I'm of the belief that this was all part of a plan, a final chapter, that the album, the final concert is all in one. And we'll get more into my theories as we go through the show. So, Joe, did you get this album straight off the bat when it was released?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that Andrew Watt produced it and he had Ozzy had all of the guest guitarists on there really piqued my interest. Plus, I'm a completist, and even though I haven't been that big of an Ozzy solo fan since I think the last album I really liked was No Rest for the Wicked, but I still bought the albums and downloaded the albums and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For me, probably No More Tears, and I've said this on this channel, is the last great album. I dropped off severely with Ozzy over the last 5 years. I sort of, my interest got reignited, and I bought this album, and I was very favorable to it. So, no, okay. So what we'll do is we'll go through the songs. We'll go through just the whole concept of this album. As you've said, Joe, it's like a cast of a thousands, and that is what adds weight to my theory that I think everyone was pulling around Ozzy, that this was going to be the final album, because it is a cast of a thousands. It's about this long, isn't it?
it is. And it's not just the guest guitarist players, it's the guest musicians. Duff McKagan's all over this album. Uh, who else? Taylor Hawkins plays on a few songs, and a few other
Chad,
drummers.
Chad Smith, Eric Clapton,
Correct.
yes, Jeff Beck,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tony Iommi. Uh,
Right.
it's a cast of a thousands, isn't it? All the way through. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a theory that they knew he was on borrowed time, and let's just,
Robert Trujillo from Metallica too, who was
absolutely plays a lot of bass.
yeah, and he was in Ozzy's band for a period. So yeah,
So Andrew Watt is the Wonder Kid, isn't he? He did the
yes,
Stones' last album, which check out on Daydream Nation. I was talking with
exactly.
you, and we did a really great show. And he is the it guy in regards to that modern rock sound, which is very radio friendly, kind of smooths the edges out a little bit. And it's
But he
more of
also, he, I know you're not a big fan, but I like Pearl Jam, the last Pearl Jam album. So what I noticed with the Stones and the last Pearl Jam album, and even bits and pieces on Patient No. He is a music fan as well as an incredible musician. So what he does is he does that smooth out, great production, but he brings in elements from the band's past to and throw it into the songs, the greatness of their songs from the past. We noticed that with Hackney Diamonds, and I noticed that with some of the stuff on Dark Matter as well by Pearl Jam.
And I noticed it on this because there's a lot of
Yes.
throwbacks to old Sabbath, like the
Yes.
early days, like
Yeah.
the Wizard, the harmonica, the really simple, gnarly riffs, and even some moments of Ozzy's solo career. I can hear echoes of the Randy era. Then I can
Correct.
hear echoes of the Zach era. Like the first song we'll talk about is like Patient No. It starts off with this gothic hammer horror start, and you've got all the the creepy noises and the creepy speaking, and it reminds me of Mr. Tinker Train from No More Tears.
Right.
And, you know, then it goes into it, and you've got Jeff Beck on the guitar, and we're on our way. Do you like this opening song, Patient No. 9?
I do. So it's interesting because I had a mixed reaction towards the album when it first came out, because I'm not a fan of Ozzy's vocals for the past, I don't know, 20, 30 years. But the songs are very good. And then for this episode, I really delved into it again, and I liked the album a lot more than I thought I did. So I really liked the first song. I like Jeff Beck. God rest his soul as well. We lost him as well, and I'm a huge Jeff Beck fan. And it's great to see them play on this together. And it's just a really great opening track.
Absolutely, Jeff Beck's playing on this is sublime. But it's got a very crisp, compressed production. It's sort of like with a lot of metal albums, they're kind of very sparkly, and they kind of, with whether it's a cymbal choke or this or that, it's very bright and it pops out of the speakers. This one is a bit more compressed, and I think he's doing this sort of production, which is a bit more compressed, to make it not necessarily a metal production, but more of a classic rock production. I think Ozzy or his advisors said, I want this to be classic rock, not just metal, because I want to appeal to a bigger audience. Because a lot of these songs have Beatles melodies. A lot of these songs have ELO. A lot of, so it might have a verse that's really gnarly and heavy, and then it'll go to this chorus, and it's like a Paul McCartney type chorus. So
correct. Yeah.
I think Ozzy's just doing everything he loves, but the production is very compressed and it's much more classic rock.
Agreed. Definitely.
Yep. So like on this first one, Patient No. 9, the lyrics, he goes, when the walls of the padded cell become reality, how many tears till I drown myself, cause no one cries for me. If there's a God, why did let the devil do his work on me? Oh yeah, if there's a God, what am I doing here? So I think this song is talking about the madness of Ozzy, because everyone knows he's a madman, and he's really playing up to this. And he's just basically discussing, everyone thinks I'm the mental case, and here I am. I am actually the patient No. 9. And there's a lot of references to God and the devil and Jesus and on this album. I really think this, I don't know if he writes the lyrics, but I think there's a lot of workshopping where I think he talks about his life and people workshop ideas, and they will write it and they'll present it to him, and he'll say, yeah, I like that, I'll sing that. Because Bob Daisley, when I interviewed him, said that he won't sing a lyric if he doesn't feel comfortable. So it'd be like pitching an idea. That's how I would think. Would you think that's the way? I don't think he's written these lyrics. He's
I totally agree. No, I agree 100% with everything you said there. I don't think he wrote the lyrics, but I think it falls in line with the way he feels. And it works.
I think they'd be having a committee meeting, like Andrew Watt, maybe the lyricist, and he'd sit down with him and say, Ozzy, tell me how you're feeling. And I think Ozzy was suffering a hell of a lot, especially those last 10 years. Like he had that severe motorbike accident that almost killed him, remember, on his property. I think he's like a cat with 9 lives. There's been a couple of times where he's really, that was it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think this song really just plays to the madness of him. Immortal. So now you've got the Duff McKagan, you've got that distinct bass sound that really comes out, and then the staccato riffs of Zach and Mike McCready and Andrew Watt.
This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite song on the album. Mike McCready is low key one of my, I think he's a very underrated guitarist. and they get a really good sound from him here. You know, he's a huge heavy metal fan and rock fan in the same vein as Andrew Watt. That was his main influences. Yeah, I just think it's really this is a very good song, great song, and it really stands out for me.
Yeah, I think the production here is classic rock. It's not metal. The vocals are very clean. One of the things that you have to forgive here, because there's definitely some alteration of Ozzy with his vocals, and I think it's that technology that was used with Cher off that song Believe, which was a game changer.
Yeah, the vocal smoothing. Right. Yeah, I mean, he did it with Mick too on Hackney Diamonds, definitely. But he did it quite a bit on this album, I agree.
Yeah. Is that the thing that really sort of took you aback, why you didn't like or enjoy the album the first time around? Because the Ozzy vocals was so obviously altered?
It wasn't the fact that it was altered. I just hadn't liked his voice for such a quite long time. I mean, I don't like the Black Sabbath 13 album at all. And I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan of all iterations. So, if anything, maybe it helped it a bit here, especially upon recent listens for the show. I think maybe the Andrew Watt's production has helped his vocal sound, in my estimation.
Yeah, with Parkinson's, because he was suffering Parkinson's.
Yeah.
You can't see, it does affect your pitch and your vocals and the muscle control. So I think this was like a necessity. We want to get one final album out, and probably the reality of him singing was he'd be very pitchy, and there might be moments where he is singing and following the melody line, but I think it was probably out of necessity that they had to do some alterations so the vocal was in tune and followed the melody. So I'll forgive it, because I just think these songs are so good, and I'm just quite positive about this project. Now, the next song, I'll put a confession. I think this is one of my favorites, Parasite. What do you think of this?
I can't argue with it. It's a very good song. It's got a great melody. It's him with Zach now, one-on-one, and it's definitely in line with 90s Ozzy with Zach Wilde. Really like the song as well.
The riff's so gnarly.
Yeah.
And I can really hear Taylor Hawkins drumming. It's so Taylor.
Yes.
I think this is the sort of music I think Taylor Hawkins really wanted to play.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he had his cover band called Chevy Metal, where he played that stuff. He loved heavy metal and classic rock. Yeah.
I could just imagine him in the studio just really ripping in and just giving it all. No, I think it's a great song. And, hear the lyrics. Mother tried, but everything I do makes her want to cry. Father, why? Why are you haunting me every night like a parasite? So I think this is a song where he's at this moment of his life and he's reflecting on his childhood and his relationship with his mum and dad. So there's so much here where he's looking back and thinking, this is my life. So there's so many signs. To me, I really think this is like the David Bowie Black Star. I think he knew his time was up, and this whole project was a race against time. And we'll keep going. No Escape Now, Tony Iommi. What do you think?
And this won a Grammy, right? I believe this won a Grammy.
Right. Okay.
For best hard rock or metal song, and it's collaboration with Tony Iommi. And honestly, I think it's better than anything on Black Sabbath 13. I really like the song a lot.
I like the voice, how it's through an effects filter. It reminds me of some songs off Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Right.
Yeah. You can hear Iommi. As soon as his riff comes in, it's so dominantly powerful. It just pins you to the floor. It's just like classic Sabbath. But, again, the lyrics of this one is like, it's kind of talking about the walls of confusion. The future's inevitable. And, there's a lyric here. Memories go up in flames, shovel dirt upon my name, see my future circle in the drain. So as I said, when I got this album, I thought, wow, all the songs are like talking about death.
Yes.
There's very few songs that are kind of optimistic or positive or, you know, sunshine and roses sort of thing.
Or even comedy. He
Yeah,
always mixed some type of subtle comedy in a lot of his songs as well.
yeah,
So it's not there. It's very dark.
very dark.
Actually, so this song did not win the Grammy. Dedication Rules did win the Grammy.
I thought that was the one, but
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
one of
We'll
Iommi,
get to that, obviously. Yeah,
Eric Clapton, one of these days. Now, I'm not a huge Eric Clapton fan, but boy, his guitar really suits this song. This is like a 70s classic rock throwback. I don't mind it.
no, I like it a lot, and I agree with you on Clapton. He he just seemed to go off the rails when he went solo, and even with Cream, I knew a couple guys in high school that were huge Clapton fans, and I just never got it. But this is a really good song. It has the classic rock feel. I feel like this is where Andrew Watt's kind of bringing some of those Cream riffs into the song, and Ozzy is singing with it, and it works.
I think Andrew Watt does a better job with bringing the classic Ozzy, the classic Sabbath, than Rick Rubin did with 13. Because
Yes.
that whole project, I don't know how hands-on Rick Rubin was with 13. I know he told the guys in that band, listen to the Black Sabbath, the original album, and
Yeah.
but I get this is a better attempt at replicating that sound, and it's much more successful. And I think he's just picking up certain eras, and with that Clapton one, 70s classic rock, A Thousand
Yeah.
Shades. This is like Beatles meets ELO. This is like Ozzy doing a version of Mr. Blue Sky. What do you think of this song?
I totally agree with you. Listening to this, you can hear Ozzy's love for the Beatles, the way his vocalization is there. And I think once again, as you alluded to earlier in the show, that Andrew Watt was aware of this and incorporated it in a song like this. And once again, it's great to hear Jeff Beck play guitar.
100%. And there's
Yeah.
even these little drum fills. It kind of sounds like Ringo. You know how Ringo used to do those little fills?
Right.
And I had to look, and is Ringo on this? No, he's not. But
Right.
I love reading comments on YouTube, social media, about film clips and various things. And somebody said, and I want to get your opinion, Ozzy does power ballads so very well. Tonight, So Tired, Killer of Giants, Fire in the Sky, Mama, I'm Coming Home, See You on the Other Side, Dreamer, Ordinary Man, You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, and more. He just is great with power ballads. Do you agree?
I can't argue with what you just said. And then the first one that comes to mind for me is Changes on Volume 4, which has garnered a life of its own. No one really knew about the song, and then it was resurrected when he did it with Kelly Osbourne, and now it's huge, and it was a big focal point in the tribute concert. So yeah, that it's interesting to bring it up because a lot of people brought this up since Ozzy's passing, and no one has ever been able to replicate his voice.
Unique.
And it was good. And you go back to the early set, even like I watched California Jam, 1974, Killing Yourself to Live live. He can bring it, and had such a stage presence. But yeah, his uniqueness and his way to sing, he sings along with the riff. So it that would definitely enhance the power ballad for sure. Yeah.
He not only sings along with the riff, he goes off on a tangent on the riff, and it gets really bluesy.
Yes.
And I did a very controversial episode on the Contrarians called Is There Blues in Black Sabbath with Martin Popoff? And we were at Loggerheads, and I said, Martin, if you listen to those early Sabbath albums, the blues, in my opinion, are in the vocal line of Ozzy. Because he's reminds me of a lot of those old blues singers where they do a little bit of a scat and the vocal line goes off in a different direction to the melody. Yeah. And there was there were naysayers on YouTube. Oh, what's Peter talking about? Tell him to, shut up, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I really believe that a lot of the blues in Sabbath are in Ozzy's vocals. And that makes him such a unique vocalist.
Yeah, and you think about the Black Sabbath trajectory, and the only other singer that even came close, and I didn't even really like the album that much, but Glenn Hughes when he sang for him, and the reason being is because Glenn Hughes is a bluesy singer as well. But I agree with you 100% that Ozzy brought the blues to the band. Yeah, and they always said that they just wanted to. They had no clue what heavy metal was. They invented heavy metal. A lot of people say they just wanted to be a heavy blues band.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just turned into that way because, Tony Iommi had an industrial accident which knocked off the tips off his fingers. He had to put some sort of prosthetic
still does
on his fingers, and had to accommodate. They did a little bit of down tuning, and voila, you've got they invented heavy metal. So
I know.
Yeah.
Mr.
Darkness. So this starts off as a quiet, introspective, acoustic type of sounding guitar line with Zakk Wylde, and then it goes into this real heavy guitar riffage chorus. What do you think of this song?
I think it's all right. Not one of my favorites on the album, and it's just something I'm going to discuss with you as we get deeper into the album. This is where you wonder if they're starting to put out too many songs. I know we're only at the 7th song, but it's all right. It's not a standout. We have 6 really good to great songs, and then we have this song, and that's going to happen in an album.
Yeah, there's a lot more. I mean, this album runs for 60 minutes, and if this is the 70s or the 80s, it'd be 40. Probably a little bit too long, but I forgive it because I think the ratio of good to average to bad it's pretty good on this album comparative to a lot of others. Lyrics on this album: give me my twisted dreams and purpose in life. Maybe I'll meet you somewhere up in the sky. I'll never thought that love could bring so much pain I can't escape. So I don't know. It's just whoever's been writing these lyrics is really tapping into, this is kind of doomy and this is like really the end. So, and I'll throw a bone here. This concert, the final concert in Birmingham.
Yes.
I reckon this got planned. They were saying, the idea, the planning was a year out. I reckon this went back ages ago because it takes longer than a year to coordinate all these bands, to get all the infrastructure into order. I reckon that pre-COVID or around COVID, this was planned around there. What do you think?
I would not be surprised. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. But it does bring in an interesting reality that I wanted to bring up, and now it's coming forth. He played a couple live appearances on this album, but only played a few songs. Like he did halftime of American football game in Los Angeles, and he played 2 or 3 songs. And I believe he also did a soccer match or everyone else calls it football. I believe I got to look it up but he only did a couple appearances and did 2 or 3 songs. And it was pretty interesting that he would do that. To push the album. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, very strange.
Sharon's always the driving force. She's already talking about putting out another documentary now, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I want. I was the planning that far back. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to gauge, but he did definitely do a couple live appearances for this album, but it was at big sporting events, a couple big sporting events, and only a few songs.
Yeah, look, my theory is this final concert was packaged up with this album, but his health took a turn for the worse,
Yeah,
and they had to speed things up, and then it sort of changed into something, instead of focusing and showcasing the album, into something that was more shrunken and more of, hey, my final gig, and let's just do some highlights from both Sabbath and Ozzy. Yeah, that's my theory. I think this, there was going to be a final concert and it was going to be packaged with this album,
yeah.
but wasn't meant to be.
I did see him live 17 or 18. He did a couple festivals. He did a full set and he headlined one of the nights. It was called Chicago Open Air. And it was a great show. I mean, everything was way down tuned. I don't know how much vocal enhancement he had live, but it was entertaining. It was a standard set list. It was all well-known songs. And he did Fairy Word. I think the most outlying song was Fairy Wear Boots, but he's been doing that for years as well. But yeah, it would be interesting to know when they planned this final show and how it all came about.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Going back to the album, we've got Evil Shuffle. This is doomy, very Sabbathy, isn't it?
Yes, definitely, definitely, yeah,
And
yeah,
the vocal line of this is very bluesy. This harks back to the early 70s. But the thing is, it brings in this chorus that's very poppy. And this is what happens throughout this album, where you've got this really gnarly verse and it goes into this little bit of sweetness and light chorus, which seems to be prevalent all the way through.
Well, you hear evil. I immediately think of when they did "Evil Woman" on the first album, the cover tune, which was heavy, but it was a pop song. I don't know if there's any parallels you can draw to it, but it's "Evil Shuffle," "Evil Woman," but it has that framework where you go heavy to the uh, pop chorus for sure. Yeah, and and if that's the case, Andrew Watt again pulling from the past and
Yeah.
bringing it to the present.
This had such a bells and whistles premiere, because on YouTube, folks, every single song has a YouTube clip. It's animated against these songs.
Yeah,
The album charted really well. In Australia, went to number 2. America, number 3. UK, number 2. Was so heavily promoted. So I think there's a lot of heat around this album. Again, it comes back to the finality, the last chapter, and mapping it out.
Yeah.
Number 10, Degradation Rules. This is my favorite song on the album. Do you like this song?
Of course. Yeah. And this is the one that won the Emmy or the Grammy. Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with you. It's between this and the song with Mike McCready for my two favorite. But it's great. It's great that it's this deep in the album that it picks it up again, and it's great.
I love the gnarly Iommi riff. It's only got about 3 or 4 notes in it, and he pulls it out. He is the riffmeister. It is just so evil, and I don't know. It really adds so much backbone to it.
You wish that Andrew Watt produced 13 instead of Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
It says on the album that Ozzy played harmonica on 2 tracks. Ozzy's a pretty nifty little harmonica player. I like that, how he adds that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is my pick. This is my favorite. I love
Yeah.
this. Dead and Gone. What do you think of this one?
It's all right. but we're getting very into the. Do you have the lyrics with you? Because man, it seems very dark to me.
This
And
one is political observational. So
yeah,
he's talking about politics and the world leaders. He goes, a circus of madmen running the show. Where are we heading? Nobody knows. Too much confusion with no end in sight. A prison of promise polluting our minds. Oh no. So this is one of the few socially observant type of songs where he's
right.
not talking about his, mortality and
Yeah,
what's next for him. So yeah, it's not one of my favorites.
I
So
agree.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
got
Maybe they
him.
should. I think they should have cut it short at degradation rules, but
I think 10. 10's a good number.
yes,
Anyway,
yeah,
um, God only knows. This has got a real Beatles vibe. This
yes.
is like the rousing closer. You got. I thought there were female vocals, and I was looking it up, and it's not. It's actually Josh Home. He must be putting a little bit of sort of
Yeah,
falsetto, but yeah. What do you think of this? This
it's okay. Again, I think the album kind of goes a little too long at this point, but it's okay.
fair enough.
Yeah,
Um, you know what I really like? I love the final track. It only goes for 1 minute and 47. Dark Side Blues. And it's just the acoustic. And you hear Ozzy's echoey vocals. And it kind of fades off into the distance. And it's like, you can imagine this is like him going into the next life.
yeah, and
I
then
love
that's it.
this. Do you like
I
that
know.
song? Do you like that little closer? Oh, I think that's a
In,
nice, really neat
in hindsight,
end.
in hindsight, it's very reflective. It's the last thing he did.
And I can imagine it's like he's going into the other world. But his
Yeah,
vocals, they kind of fade.
yeah, I know.
And he's doing a very bluesy line, bluesy and the acoustic. And I think it's Andrew Watt is playing guitar.
Yes,
So
yeah, and he's a very accomplished guitarist. He's a great musician.
yeah, there you have
Yeah,
it. So, folks, that's the album. And so do you think they wrote it because they knew he was on limited time and they treated this project as the end, the final project?
I do. And it's also interesting that he put out two albums in the 2020s. He had Ordinary Man and then this album. But yeah, at a certain point, you have to come to the realization that it is coming to the end. And I think that's what they did here. And again, it's amazing that they brought in all those guest guitar players and musicians to put out this collaboration. And revisiting it now for this episode, I have a lot better appreciation of it. I can overlook Ozzy's vocals. And in hindsight, as I said before, I think Andrew Watt enhanced his vocals on this album.
Yeah, you got to forgive
Yeah.
it, and I do. The production is kind of flat bat, so it means it does smooth the edges, and it's kind of got that sound that's the current sound made for
Yeah.
radio. But I like this album a lot. I think it's top tier classic Ozzy? Probably not, but I think it's a fine album to finish his career, and it's certainly one that I revisit because you and I have this constant conversation about later albums from heritage artists. Do we revisit? And there are a lot of albums that I just simply don't revisit, but this one, for some reason, I keep on going back to and finding out more. Yeah, I would have loved to have heard these songs live. Like something like
And
Degradation Blues would have been fantastic to hear that live. Iommi playing along
yeah.
to that.
So he played Patient Number 9 in Crazy Train.
Hmm.
And he had Zach Wilde, Andrew Watt, Chris Cheney, and Tommy Clufios on drums. So he played two songs. It was the NFL kickoff in 2022. And then he also played the Commonwealth closing ceremony, he played just Iron Man and Paranoid, so nothing. But he did do Patient Number 9.
Yeah, well,
during that.
Some of these songs deserve to be heard live. So if there is a tribute concert of sorts, it'd be really good if we could hear some of these.
Right. Yeah.
They deserve to be heard. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Joe B. Wonderful to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Tell us what you think of this album, Patient Number 9. I rank it very highly. I think it was, the year of release, it was probably my album of the year, and I still think it holds up well. And since the passing of Ozzy, it has extra resonance, through the lyrics and, generally the whole concept of the album. So tell us what you think of Patient Number 9. Please like and subscribe to Rock Daydream Nation. But one thing's for sure, me and Joe B will be doing more shows during the course of the year. Check you later. See ya. Bye. All right. Thank you.